You've probably heard it a million times, right? To get ahead at work, you need to be more vulnerable, kinder, more generous. But what happens when trying to do the right thing actually backfires? Well, today we're going to explore that complex, often tricky reality behind our most popular workplace ideals.
So let's start with a quote that really gets to the heart of this. This is from Santiago Duran, who is both a clinical psychologist and a senior marketing executive. I mean, talk about a unique perspective. And this experience of his, even at places you'd think would be progressive like Google, well, it really captures the core problem we're talking about. The idea that being open can be a huge gamble. And that right there is the big question, isn't it? Why does this happen? Why does all this incredible advice from really brilliant thinkers often feel like it just doesn't work in the real world, in our actual jobs? It's a tough spot so many of us have been in, so let's start breaking it down. First up, we're going to look at this personal paradox. This gap between being told to open up and the very real regret that can follow when you do. All right, next we're going to dig into the virtues themselves. We're going to look at 3 of the biggest ideas out there from Brené Brown, Gary Vaynerchuk, and Chris Anderson, and explore why their amazing advice isn't always a simple one-size-fits-all solution. Let's start with the big one, vulnerability, championed by the incredible Brené Brown. Her work has totally reshaped how we think about courage. The core idea is that real strength is about letting people see you, flaws and all, even when you have no idea how they're going to react. But, and this is a big but, here's the catch. On one hand, the promise is huge, right? True connection, more innovation, all the good stuff. But on the other hand, there's a serious peril. Think about it. Telling your boss a project is falling behind. In a great culture, that's seen as brave. It lets the team jump in and help. But in a toxic culture that punishes failure, that same vulnerability is a massive career risk. It all comes down to the environment. Okay, next up is kindness, viewed through the lens of entrepreneur Gary Vaynerchuk. And I love this because he doesn't see it as just some soft skill. For him, kindness is a powerful long-term business strategy that in the end, just being a good person is the ultimate competitive advantage. And yep, you guessed it, we're looking at that same two-sided coin. In a healthy company, kindness absolutely builds trust and loyalty. But in a cutthroat, eat-what-you-kill kind of place, that same kindness can get you labeled as weak. It can lead straight to burnout, getting manipulated, or just being walked all over. A good strategy needs the right battlefield. And finally, let's talk about generosity. TED curator Chris Anderson has this beautiful vision of what he calls infectious generosity. It's the idea that one act of giving can set off this incredible ripple effect of goodwill that just keeps spreading. But I think you know what's coming next, right? Context is absolutely everything. In a workplace built on trust, generosity is like a supercharger for success. But in a culture with a scarcity mentality, where every promotion, every bit of credit is a fight to the death, well, generosity isn't seen as brave. It's seen as naive, a sign that you're an easy target. Okay, so if the environment is the critical factor, what's the solution? What's the secret sauce that allows these virtues to actually work? The answer might just be something called psychological safety, a powerful concept from Harvard's Amy Edmondson that we're going to dive into now. So, what is psychological safety? Put simply, it's that feeling, that shared belief in a team that it's okay to stick your neck out. It means you can admit you messed up, ask a so-called dumb question, or challenge an idea without being terrified that you'll be punished or humiliated for it. It's the fertile soil where all these virtues we've been talking about can finally take root. And the good news is, this isn't magic. It's something you can build on purpose. You start by normalizing vulnerability, making it okay for people to speak up. Then you institutionalize kindness, maybe by rewarding teamwork over just solo home runs. And you have to reinforce generosity by making sure it's valued, not taken for granted. It's all about intentionally designing the culture that protects these ideas. But, and you knew there was a but coming, right? It's not quite that simple. As powerful as psychological safety is, it's not a silver bullet. It actually has its own set of critiques and complications that we really need to understand. First off, there's culture. As researcher Erin has shown, what feels safe in one culture can feel deeply unsafe in another. For example, in many Western offices, direct feedback is a sign of respect. But in more hierarchical cultures, that same feedback can feel like a direct challenge to authority, a form of insubordination. So the very definition of safety has to adapt.
Then there's a deeper, almost philosophical question. Thinkers like Jonathan Haidt ask, what if we take this too far? What if psychological safety gets twisted into meaning we have to be shielded from any and all discomfort? The worry is that we might create fragility instead of resilience. After all, the goal is to get better at handling challenges, not to avoid them altogether. So with all these complications, where does that leave us? Well, the goal shifts a little. It's not just about building safe cultures, it's about building wiser cultures. It's about finding that sweet spot, that balance between safety and strength, between being open and using good judgment. The author of our source material, Santiago Duran, shares this powerful metaphor his mother used to quote. Now, this isn't about being cynical or calling people names. It's about being discerning. It's about recognizing that you should offer your most valuable things, your vulnerability, your kindness, your pearls, in places where they will be cherished, not trampled on. And that, right there, is really the heart of it. The point isn't to create a world with zero risk. Being vulnerable or kind will always feel a little risky. The real goal is to build cultures and to develop the personal wisdom to be brave in a smart way, to know when to lean in and be open, and when to protect yourself. So the ultimate challenge for all of us, whether we're leaders or just trying to be a good teammate, is this. How do we bridge that gap? How do we take these beautiful, inspiring ideals and actually make them work in the messy, complicated, real world of our own jobs? That's the question to take back with you.